Alright, so if you've ever been stuck in a never-ending airport security line during the holidays and thought, wow, this can't possibly get any worse. Well, this movie is here to tell you that if you add in a healthy dose of extortion and murder, it absolutely can. Carry On is the new action thriller from Netflix about a young TSA agent that has to figure out a way to try and outsmart a mysterious traveler that blackmails him into letting a dangerous package through security on Christmas Eve. It's basically like if someone turned the airport scene from The Bourne Ultimatum into a feature-length film. Now, I'm an absolute sucker for action movies in general. It really doesn't matter what type they are, and I'm not gonna lie, even the ones that are more predictable, low budget, or feel like they're part of some sort of case of the week TV show, I still find they're pretty easy to have a good time with. I mean, I'm not looking for an Oscar-worthy film, just one that's gonna keep me entertained and locked in for 90 minutes of my day. So when I heard that Taron Egerton was in one where he has to stop Jason Bateman from loading some deadly cargo onto a packed airplane, that basically sounded like what I'm always looking for. Traveling on Christmas Eve is already a certified nightmare all by itself, so this is something I definitely wanted to see. And after watching the film for myself, even though the plot is nothing new, it goes on a little long, and the thrills are decent at best, I still think there's enough here to satisfy that craving. Now, one of the biggest draws for a movie like this is obviously going to be those big and loud action sequences, and I think they're handled appropriately here for the most part. There's nothing that's gonna make John Wick want to join the party or anything of that caliber, but there are plenty of decently intense scenarios that our main character finds himself in over the course of the movie. I will say though that there are two pretty ambitious moments in particular that impressed me that involve a car and a baggage claim conveyor belt, that even though the execution of them wasn't absolutely perfect, I still need to give credit where it's due for them trying to pull off a couple of bonkers segments. In general though, there are enough race against the clock types of situations in here to keep it mostly entertaining the entire way through. When it comes to the performances, I think they're probably where they need to be for a movie like this. Taron Egerton has proven that he has the chops to lead an action film when you look back at the Kingsman movies, even though a lot less is required of him in a project like this, but he comes off as a believable TSA agent that wants more out of life and is easy to root for after being thrust into this high-intensity shitstorm happening around him. And it's honestly just a nice change of pace seeing someone in his profession doing something other than confiscating my water bottle in the airport security line. Jason Bateman plays our villain this time around, and he's a guy I have always been a huge fan of. I obviously love his comedies, but since he always plays the straight man, it makes sense why he was able to so easily transition into more dramatic material, which surprised a lot of people when he did Ozark. But I gotta say, I don't think he came off as all that menacing in this role. Don't get me wrong, I definitely enjoy having him as a part of this cast. I just wish he was able to dish out a little bit more of a memorable performance. The rest of the characters are played by actors you've seen before in one thing or another. Hank from Breaking Bad is here leading the TSA. It's good to see he's still out there fighting the good fight. But a lot of these roles exist solely to be cannon fodder and just move the plot forward in obvious ways. When it comes to the plot at hand here, there's pretty much nothing that you haven't seen done before in other movies when you boil it all down. You know, it's a contained action thriller about an unlikely hero that has to try and stop this threat from being unleashed, all centered around this deadly MacGuffin. The location and the time of year might make it feel unique, but none of that is exactly fresh. I'll give it some props for the details they came up with around the specifics of this evil plan and why the villain is doing what he's doing. It's actually kind of interesting, even though it's pretty undercooked, but at least they tried to do something a little bit original in that regard. And all of this isn't necessarily a bad thing. You don't need the most creative setup ever for an action film like this to succeed and be entertaining. I mean, how many times have we seen Jason Statham get up to his old tricks where the only thing different is maybe his profession and where he is in the world? If that hasn't stopped me from eating that shit up again and again, then nothing ever will. Overall, guys, I enjoyed my time enough with Carry On. It's nothing life-changing, but if you're fond of these kinds of predictable and entertaining action thrillers, this one should be able to give you what you need. The performances are just alright, and the film probably goes on for longer than it should, but if you're just looking for a forgettable Christmas movie this holiday season that's more like Die Hard and less like It's a Wonderful Life, then this should be right up your alley. Carry On gets a Sully score of 3 stars. So that's my review of Netflix's latest action film. What do you think is your favorite action movie of this year so far? I think I have to go with Furiosa, but let me know in the comments below what you think. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys at the next one.